Hello, pot pie. How about a date? All right, Sherry. The courtship is over.
Whole generations grew up with Pepe Le Pew, the persistent skunk in constant pursuit of Penelope the pussycat.
Ah, my little darling, it is love at first sight, is it not?
The cartoon first appeared on TV screens in 1945 and was considered, cute and romantic. Today, Pepe Le Pew's unwanted advances feel creepy and reflect how female characters were scripted, says English professor at George Mason University, Lisa Koch.
Being portrayed as sexual objects, being portrayed passively, early on being the objects of sexual harassment, sexual violence, stalking, like in the example with Pepe Le Pew.
I warn you, I've always thought a good lashing with a buggy whip would benefit you immensely.
The tumultuous relationship between Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara in the 1939 epic Gone with the Wind was scripted, produced, and promoted by Hollywood as a passionate love affair.
Yankees to see you.
Take your hands on me, you skunk!
But moviegoers today see clear signs of domestic abuse in the relationship between the two main characters. Rhett Butler is derisive and controlling towards Scarlett, who is presented as petulant, erratic, and manipulative. Lisa Koch says fictional stories and characters such as these have reinforced and legitimized male chauvinism through popular culture.
So if we focus just on Hollywood, the fact that it is a male institution, male-dominated institution, that is definitely linked to these portrayals of women. And the more women are employed behind the scenes, the less of that we will see.
Sexism and abuse on script also reflected behind-the-scenes sexual harassment and abuse of actresses by filmmakers and other males of the Hollywood establishment, says Director of Film and Video Studies at GMU, Giovanna Chesler.
You read about how Bertolucci and Marlon Brando had an arrangement for their actress in Last Tango in Paris. They knew that this would be a rape scene that they were filming, but she did not. They take agency away. And then in the case of Hitchcock, abusing all of these women psychologically, particularly, to get better performances out of them.
In her 2016 autobiography, Tippi Hedren, a memoir, Hedren, Hitchcock's main muse and star of his films The Birds and Marnie, recounts the psychological abuse and sexual harassment she suffered at the hands of the director. Hedren writes that when she turned down his sexual advances, he threatened to destroy her career. Giovanna Chesler says that this pervasive culture of sexism and blackmail produced sexual predators such as Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein.
He was the Oscar maker, and he anointed all of these actresses into Oscar-producing roles. With the hope, potentially, I imagine, they thought that once they got into that role, once they really broke through, they would get out of being sexualized on screen. How ironic that to do so they had to deal with this predator.
Professor Lisa Koch says ultimately the narrative that has reinforced gender inequality in Hollywood is changing because more and more moviegoers, especially young adults, are turning away from Hollywood's stereotypical scripts and sexist messages. Penelope Poulou, VOA News, Washington.